Every now and then, Allah places a moment before you that changes the way you see this world. You look at the things you once chased, the ambitions that consumed your energy, the possessions you thought would bring satisfaction, and suddenly you realize how quickly they slip away. Nothing in this dunya stays. Nothing holds its shape. Nothing gives the heart the fulfillment it quietly longs for. Yet the awareness that grows within you is not meant to break you. It is meant to redirect you. Allah invites you to lift your gaze from what ends to what begins, from what fades to what remains. And in that shift, a deeper truth settles inside. Everything you strive for in His path is eternal. And every sacrifice made for His sake becomes light on the day when you will desperately need it. The dunya offers speed but no stability. Jannah offers peace, purpose and permanence. And the heart that understands this starts walking differently, with intention, with clarity, with a yearning for a life that doesn't disappear the moment you touch it. The heart moves through this world, searching for fulfillment, reaching for achievements, possessions and recognition. Yet each gain seems to fade quicker than the last. The soul quietly feels the gap between what it collects and what it truly needs. Allah allows you to taste the limits of the dunya so you understand that true nourishment comes from a place beyond it. The emptiness is not a punishment but a reminder that your soul was created for something far greater than material victories. As life unfolds, you notice how temporary joys lose their brightness once acquired. What seemed essential begins to feel hollow, and what once excited you no longer carries the same weight. This shift isn't accidental. It is Allah guiding your heart away from illusions that would keep you restless forever. Through this awakening, you begin to recognize that worldly pursuits can entertain the body but cannot anchor the soul. The soul responds to sincerity, worship, remembrance and purpose. When these are missing, no level of comfort can replace them. Allah designed the human heart to find peace only through Him. So anything gained without His blessing brings more pressure than happiness. The world tries to convince you that reaching its goals will complete you. Yet every achievement reveals how fragile such fulfillment is. Through many experiences, you start seeing the dunya for what it truly is, a bridge, not a home. The bridge is necessary, but staying attached to it brings disappointment. Allah invites you to cross it with wisdom, using every opportunity to build something lasting for the next life. This understanding doesn't remove ambition, it redirects it toward meaning. When your heart realizes that nothing worldly can carry the weight of eternal longing, a new clarity rises within you. You feel drawn toward prayer, reflection, and the pursuit of deeds that echo beyond your lifespan. You begin to value the unseen rewards over the visible applause, because the unseen will meet you when everything visible disappears. The dunya tests your desires, but Jannah shapes your direction. These two paths are always in front of you, and whichever one you choose affects the condition of your heart. Attaching yourself to the temporary brings fear of loss. Attaching yourself to the eternal brings strength and tranquility. Allah grants this understanding to those He wishes to elevate. Your soul was created with a yearning that cannot be silenced by wealth or comfort. It seeks closeness to Allah, and until it finds that closeness, everything else feels incomplete. Even in success, you feel unsettled. Even in comfort, you sense a deeper longing. This is the mercy of Allah calling you back to what truly matters. You notice how quickly blessings change when they are tied to the dunya alone. What was once stable becomes uncertain, and what felt secure becomes fragile. This instability teaches you that relying on the world is like leaning on shadows. Only reliance on Allah gives you the strength to stand firmly, no matter what unfolds. As your heart grows in awareness, your perspective shifts. You start valuing time differently, protecting your energy and choosing actions that align with your purpose instead of seeking validation. The dunya loses its power to distract you because you finally understand its true nature. It was never meant to satisfy you, it was meant to test you. This realization awakens a calm determination within you. You walk through life with more purpose, more patience, and more gratitude. You no longer chase what fades, and you no longer fear losing what was never meant to last. Your pursuit becomes focused on what draws you nearer to Allah and strengthens your journey toward Jannah. You begin to see that the hardships you faced were not obstacles. They were lessons that shaped your heart. Without those experiences, you might still be running after what harms your soul. Allah allowed you to feel disappointment so you would stop looking for perfection in an imperfect world. This shift is one of the greatest blessings He can give you. With every prayer, your priorities sharpen. You recognize the value of acts that are small in the dunya but immense in the next life. You realize that what people overlook is often what saves you on the day of judgment. This understanding transforms your daily actions into steps toward eternity. Even if the world doesn't notice them, the dunya can decorate itself beautifully, but its beauty vanishes the moment you cling to it. Allah protects believers by exposing its reality so they don't build their dreams upon sand. When the soul accepts this truth, it becomes lighter, freer, and more resilient. You carry less fear because your heart is no longer tied to outcomes that expire. This awakening brings a serenity you never experienced before. Your goals become higher, your vision becomes clearer, and your dependence shifts entirely toward Allah. The dunya no longer controls your emotions because you know its limitations. You walk with the certainty that what awaits you with Allah is far greater than anything you could gather here. In this newfound clarity, you learn that the sweetness of Jannah begins with the choices you make today. Every step toward Allah strengthens your soul, while every step toward the dunya alone leaves you feeling emptier. When your heart finally understands this, it no longer seeks from the worldly what only the eternal can provide. Life begins to feel different the moment you shift your focus from short-lived comfort to what carries value beyond this world. The chase becomes lighter, the pressure softens, and the heart gains clarity. When your intention moves toward earning Allah's pleasure, the distractions that once consumed your thoughts lose their grip. You start recognizing how meaningful each action becomes when tied to the hereafter rather than fleeting approval. This shift doesn't require dramatic changes. It starts inside with the realization that every deed carries weight in eternity. When you act with this awareness, even ordinary routines transform into worship. Your conversations become kinder, your responses more patient, and your decisions more thoughtful. You understand that what you build for the next life shapes your destiny far more than what you collect here. Focusing on eternal rewards teaches you to value sincerity above performance. Instead of trying to impress people, you try to please Allah. This adjustment removes so much noise from your life. You no longer feel compelled to compete, to prove your worth, or to rush toward outcomes that don't add meaning to your soul. True success becomes tied to inner peace rather than outward applause. Choosing the hereafter shifts how you react to hardship. Trials no longer feel like punishments but pathways to purification. You begin to see how each difficulty offers elevation, how every challenge opens a door for reward that lasts forever. The heart softens because it knows that nothing endured, for Allah goes unnoticed and nothing is wasted. This realization strengthens resilience like nothing else can. You start noticing how temporary the dunya truly is. What once felt significant now appears fragile, and what once captured your desires fades easily. By focusing on eternity, you prevent yourself from building your hopes on something that will vanish. This mindset protects you from disappointment because your expectations are anchored in what Allah has promised, not what the world offers. Life becomes more focused when your goals move from worldly gain to spiritual growth. You prioritize your prayers, guard your words, and choose honesty even when it costs you. These changes don't weaken you, they refine you. You begin to resemble the believer you always hoped to become, not through perfection but through steady commitment. This transformation brings a contentment the dunya could never provide. Your soul feels lighter because the weight of worldly competition no longer burdens you. You stop comparing your journey to others because you know every believer has their own path. When your purpose is tied to Allah, jealousy fades, gratitude increases, and humility becomes natural. Your heart finds rest because it no longer seeks validation from those who cannot benefit you on the day of judgment. The more you choose eternal reward, the more Allah guides your decisions. You gain clarity about what to pursue and what to walk away from. Doors that once attracted you begin to lose appeal when you realize they do not serve your hereafter. Likewise, opportunities that once seemed insignificant become precious because they carry reward. This guidance becomes a light that directs your every step. Your character becomes more consistent when eternal reward is your focus. You strive to be honest when no one is watching, patient when no one acknowledges it, and generous even when it goes unnoticed. These actions may not bring worldly recognition, but they are recorded with perfection by Allah. The knowledge of this brings a confidence rooted in sincerity, not in display. This shift changes how you use your time. You become more mindful of how easily it slips away and more intentional about how you spend it. You invest in acts that benefit your hereafter, learning, praying, helping, forgiving. The dunya no longer dictates your pace, your priorities do. Each day feels purposeful because you know every hour can bring reward. As your heart aligns with eternal goals, you find that blessings come with more meaning. A small amount of risk feels abundant, a simple day feels fulfilling, and even minor achievements feel significant because they were approached with gratitude. You become aware of how Allah multiplies what is used for His sake, turning little into plenty and turning effort into reward far greater than you expected. Your relationships change as well. You seek companionship that nurtures your faith, conversations that uplift your soul, and environments that remind you of your purpose. You recognize the value of surrounding yourself with people who encourage you toward good rather than distracting you. This shift protects your heart and strengthens your resolve to live for something greater. The more you dedicate your life to eternal reward, the less fear you carry about loss. You learn that everything taken from you opens space for something better. Allah replaces, restores, and elevates in ways the dunya cannot comprehend. Your trust deepens because you witness how He shapes your journey with wisdom, even in moments you initially question. Spiritual growth becomes a source of happiness in itself. You feel fulfilled not by what you own, but by how close you feel to Allah. Sujood brings a peace no luxury can offer. Dhikr quiets worries that no amount of wealth could silence. The heart finally discovers a home, not in the world, but in remembrance of its Creator. Choosing eternal rewards over temporary gains reshapes your entire existence. Your steps become purposeful, your heart becomes steadier, and your path becomes clearer. You walk knowing that every sacrifice made for Allah brings a return that never fades, and every intention directed toward Him builds a future far greater than the dunya could ever promise. When a person steps away from chasing what constantly shifts, a new kind of clarity settles into their life. They begin to understand that no matter how hard someone pursues the unstable offerings of this world, they never feel truly satisfied. The heart grows tired of running after things that keep changing. Once this pursuit ends, a beautiful peace replaces the restlessness that once ruled their days. Letting go of the uncertain allows the heart to breathe without fear of disappointment. The soul becomes lighter because it no longer depends on outcomes that cannot be guaranteed. This shift frees you from measuring your worth by circumstances or achievements that may disappear without warning. True liberation comes when your contentment no longer relies on things that cannot stay. When the heart stops chasing what is unpredictable, it finally turns toward what is consistent and trustworthy. You begin to anchor yourself not in hopes built on sand, but in promises that never fail. This transformation teaches the heart to seek stability from the one who never changes. And that transition brings strength you didn't realize you were missing all along. Walking away from uncertainty removes the unnecessary pressure to control everything. You realize that the world's expectations are endless and trying to fulfill them only drains the soul. But when you release that burden, your focus shifts to what truly matters. You no longer feel compelled to chase approval or prove your value through worldly success. This freedom also teaches the heart patience. You learn to wait without anxiety because you understand that what is meant for you will come according to divine timing. The constant urge to rush, to force outcomes, or to cling to what isn't written for you fades as trust grows. This patience deepens your connection with Allah, and that connection becomes your calm. The heart